Hello students. In today's class we are going to learn about real numbers. So let's just get started with it. Real numbers, just a quick definition of it. Real numbers can be defined as the union of both the rational and irrational numbers. In details, of course, we are going to see what are rational and what are irrational numbers later on. They can be both positive or negative and are denoted by the symbol R. All the natural numbers, negative numbers and fractions come under this category, that is the category of real numbers. Set of real numbers. Now, what all smaller sets that come under this bigger set of real numbers that we will see? This we have already learned in the lesson sets, okay? But this is kind of a revision. Set of natural numbers. Now, set of natural numbers are those numbers which we learn in the KG class. Okay, you are never directly introduced to 0, right? When you are in a KG class. So, you first start from 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are natural numbers. Then we come to whole numbers. When 0 is added to it, we get the set of whole numbers. Okay, we will just see to that. Set of natural numbers, as I told you, are the ones which we learn in the KG class. 1, 2, 3, okay, and then they go infinitely. Then when we go to little higher standards, we are introduced to 0, 1, 2, 3 and goes on. Now if you go to see these two sets, if we consider these two sets, okay, the intersection of these two sets would be 1, 2, 3 and go on, 1, 2, 3 and go on. So these three sets have a lot of numbers common to them, that is 1, 2, 3 and go on. Only this 0 is different. So these two sets have such a big lot of numbers common to them. Now when you come to the 5th standard, you are introduced to the negative number, okay? Till the time you are in the primary classes, you are not aware of the negative numbers, okay? You don't even know that there are numbers beyond 0, okay? So then you are introduced to what are called as negative numbers. So we definitely need a bigger set which will include the negative numbers. So here we have the set of integers. It is called as the set of integers. It will have 0 in the middle, positive numbers and negative numbers. Okay, that is called as set of integers. 0, all the positive numbers and the negative numbers. But just remember, set of integers will not include fractions. Okay, so for that we need another set which is called as set of rational numbers. It will include the entire set of integers as well as fractions too, as well as fractions. But just remember one thing, there is one more definition of the set of rational numbers. Set of rational numbers, or any number, is a rational number if that number can be denoted in P by Q form. This is another definition of rational number. If a number can be represented in P by Q form, where this Q is not equals to 0 and P and Q can be both whole numbers, okay, or even integers, but this Q cannot be 0. Why? Because we cannot have 0 in the denominator. If you have denominator 0, means your answer would be infinity or not defined. Your answer would be infinity or not defined. So understand the definition of rational numbers. Any number that can be represented in P by Q form where Q is not 0 are called as rational number. Then next we come to the set of irrational numbers. Now, all these sets, all these four sets we saw, they got something or the other common in them, right? They are not completely disjoint. But now the next set that we are going to see, that is set of irrational number. So from the set of real numbers, which is the biggest set, which includes all the above set, from the set of real numbers, if you subtract rational numbers, what remains is the set of irrational numbers. Okay, so set of rational numbers and set of irrational numbers. Irrational numbers I have denoted by r minus q. Set of rational numbers and set of irrational numbers are totally disjoint sets. Two different sets. Disjoint sets definition we have seen in the sets lesson. So these two are totally disjoint sets and they will have nothing common to them. Okay, irrational numbers also proper definition we are going to see later on, but the examples I'll give you: pi, root 2. These are the examples of irrational numbers. Okay, so this was in brief. We just saw what are the different set of real numbers. Okay, these are basically all the subsets of real numbers, we can say. Okay, these are basically all the subsets of real numbers, and real numbers, the set of real numbers, we can say, is the universal set of all of them. Okay, set of real numbers is the biggest set. Set of real numbers in this case we can see is the biggest set, and all these sets are subsets. Natural number is a subset of whole number. Whole number is a subset of integers. Integers is a subset of rational numbers, and rational numbers is a subset of real numbers. So in all these are subset of real numbers and also irrational numbers. Okay, I denoted that by r minus q, right? That is a set of irrational numbers. Irrational number is also a subset of real numbers. So this is the biggest set, and this set we call it as a universal set in this case. Now there is a bigger set, of course, than the real numbers also, which would include imaginary numbers. But up to 10th standard, you don't have to learn about imaginary numbers. Probably when you go to the college, etc., you will learn about it. So this was just a quick revision of natural numbers. Then integers. Okay, integers will include negative, 0 and positive. Then rational numbers will include fractions too. Then irrational numbers. Irrational numbers, I have given you the examples. Now, few properties of real numbers that we will learn about. First one is called as commutative property. Okay, commutative property of real numbers. So this is commutative property of addition and commutative property of multiplication. Now what does this mean? This means that when you add the two real numbers, the order is not important. You add 3 plus 4 or 4 plus 3. The answer, you add 3 plus 4 or 4 plus 3. The answer is going to be the same. That means the order is not important. While multiplying also, 3 multiplied by 4 or 4 multiplied by 3, the answer is going to be the same. So the order is not important here. Next we come to the associative property. Associative means if there are more than two numbers that you are adding or multiplying. Okay, associative property of addition and associative property of multiplication of real numbers. So when you are adding them and there are three numbers, you group the first two and then add the third number, or you group the last two and then add the first number to it. Still the answer is going to be same. 3 plus 4 is 7 plus 2 is 9. and 4 plus 2 is 6. 6 plus 3 is 9 again. Okay, so the answer is same. While multiplying also is the same. 4 multiplied by 2 is 8 and 8 3s are 24. Here also 4 3s are 12 and 12 2s are 24. Answer is same. Next is additive and multiplicative identity. Now here 0 is called as additive identity of real numbers and 1 is called as multiplicative identity of real numbers. Now what does this mean? This 0, whenever you add any real number with 0, the answer is going to be the same. And whenever you multiply 1 with any real number, the answer is still same. So 1 is called as multiplicative identity and 0 is called as additive identity. Now we will come to inverse. While finding the additive inverse of any real number, we just change the sign. Now additive inverse of A is going to be minus A. Additive inverse of A is going to be minus A. And multiplicative inverse of A is going to be 1 upon A. Multiplicative inverse of A is going to be 1 upon A. Now we will come to the definitions of rational number and irrational. Rational numbers. If the decimal representation of numbers is terminating or non-terminating recurring, then they are called as rational numbers. Now what do you mean by decimal representation? Let us see. Let's say there's one number 1.5. So after decimal point it stops, right? It doesn't go on. So it is called as terminating decimal representation. Now there's one more 1.3333. It goes on, number of, we don't know, it just goes on 3333. Now while the representing, sometimes it is shown this way 1.3 and dot in top of it, means 3 is recurring. So it is non-terminating and recurring type. Okay, this is terminating type and this one is non-terminating recurring type. So both these forms are called as rational numbers. And one more definition of rational number we have seen earlier, that is if you can represent it in P by Q form where Q is not equals to 0. And another one is if the decimal representation is terminating or non-terminating recurring. Now opposite of rationals is irrational. If the decimal representation is non-terminating and non-recurring, okay, if it is non-terminating and non-recurring, means if the decimal representation does not stop, it does not recur too, like you have something like this 1.121120112 and it goes on. Okay, then it does not stop, it does not recur. Such a decimal representation is called as an irrational number. Okay, example is this. Okay, now this one property that we are going to learn is very important and it's going to help you in solving the next practice set, that is practice set 2.1. If the prime factors of the denominator of a rational number are 2 or 5 only, then its decimal expansion is terminating, otherwise it's non-terminating. Okay, now you will understand what it means actually when we solve the problems. The prime factors of the denominator of a rational number are 2 or 5 only, then its decimal expansion is terminating. If the prime factors of the denominator of a rational number are 2 or 5 only, then its decimal expansion is terminating, otherwise it's non-terminating. Practice set 2.1. Classify the decimal form of the given rational numbers into terminating and non-terminating recurring type. Now, the first sum is this 13 upon 5. Now, they have asked us when we divide this is given in P by Q form. When we divide this and get the answer in the decimal form, will that decimal representation be terminating or non-terminating recurring type? Okay, terminating means it stops after decimal point. There are few numbers, means it stops somewhere. The counting of that decimal representation stops. And recurring means same number goes on coming again and again. That is called as recurring type. Okay, now you can actually divide and find out the answer, but without dividing. Okay, if we want to find the answer in quick way, then the property that we learned in the previous slide is helpful. Look at the denominator. Denominator is factor of 5. Okay, it's just 5. So if in the denominator there is a factor of 5 or 2 only, there is no other number than 5 or 2, okay, then it is terminating type. But if there is any other number apart from 5 or 2, then that is non-terminating recurring type. Then that is non-terminating recurring type. So let's see, this is going to be terminating type now. In 13 upon 5, we have denominator 5. Thus, denominator has only 5 as prime factor, and therefore 13 upon 5 has the terminating decimal representation. Now I have divided and shown you. Okay, after we divide, actually you look at this, the answer is 2.6. So it's terminating type. Now the next one, 2 upon 11. Now here look at the denominator. It's 11. So it is not a factor of 2 or 5, right? It is something different than that. So therefore it is going to be recurring type. So it is going to be recurring type. In 2 upon 11, 11 is the denominator. Thus denominator has prime factors other than 2 and 5. Therefore 2 upon 11 has a recurring and non-terminating decimal representation. Okay, so see here, when we divide 20 by 11, 0.181181818, it will go on. See, after we have divided here 90, then we got 88, then again this 20 is coming, 11, so 9, again I will get 0, again 90 will come, again 8 will come. So 0.181818 will go on coming. So it is recurring type. So first two I have actually divided and shown also, so that you get to know that it is actually recurring, and that was terminating. This is non-terminating. Now let's go to the next one. Third sum, 29 upon 16. So we will find the prime factors of 16. They are all 2's, right? In 29 upon 16, 16 is the denominator. 16 is equal to 2 into 2 into 2 into 2. 4 times 2 has come. Okay, so there is a prime factor 2 only. There is a prime factor 2 only. Therefore, it is going to be terminating. Thus, denominator has only 2 as a prime factor. Therefore, 29 upon 16 has the terminating decimal representation. 17 upon 125. Factorize 125 and see what are the factors. 5. Okay, the prime factor is only 5, so it is going to be terminating again. This is also going to be terminating. Thus, denominator has only 5 as prime factor. Therefore, 17 upon 125 has terminating. Terminating. This word has to be terminating. Has the terminating decimal representation. So you just have to see that if the factors are 2 or 5. If anything apart from 2 or 5 is there, then it is going to be non-terminating. 11 upon 6. So here we see 3 has come. The factor of 6, 2 into 3, 3 has come. So it is something apart from 2 and 5. So that's going to be recurring. The denominator has prime factor other than 2 and 5. Therefore 11 upon 6 has recurring and non-terminating decimal representation. Okay, now the next question, the second question that we come to, write the following rational numbers in decimal form. Okay, now second question is, see here, this question is given in p by q form, that is in the fractional form, 127 upon 200. You have to convert it into decimal form. So just divide. Okay, just divide, or there are other methods also of getting it into decimal form. That is actually finding the answer, divide and finding the answer. Okay, so that is quite easy, but in the next one you will be given in decimal form and you will be asked to convert into p by q form. So over there that is something new to you and you will have to understand the steps. We will come to that also. First let us just understand this. Here you just have to divide it. Okay, 127 upon 200. So this you can actually divide 127 by 200. You can actually divide this like that and get the answer, or there would be an easier method. Whenever there is 100, you can get it into the factor of 100 or 10. It is easier to divide, so you should do that. 200 I will write as 2 into 100. Okay, 200 I can write as 2 into 100. Now just divide this number by 2. 2 ones are 2, 2 6 are 12, 2 3s are 6.5. Okay, upon 100 I will get. So that's 63.5 upon 100. Now since we are dividing by 100, decimal point will shift 2 places to the left. Since we are dividing by 100, decimal point will shift 2 places to the left. Okay, so that will be 0.635. 0.635. Now this you can actually divide also and get the answer. Let's move to the next sum. Here we have I have actually divided and solved. Okay, 99. Now since 99 is a bigger number and 25 is a smaller number, okay, you have to just keep in mind here what is divisor and what is dividend. The number on top, that is in the numerator, is your dividend, and number down, that is your divisor. Okay, sometimes in a hurry you should not make a mistake of writing 99 here and 25 here, then the whole answer will go wrong, right? So 99 divided by 25. So I cannot directly divide because this 25, 99 ones are 99, will not be subtracted from here, right? So we give 0 first. 99 zeros are 0 and 25 will remain. I have given a decimal point there now and I will take 1 0 there. 99 twos are 198. 52 remains, then I take a 0 there. Then 99 fives are 495. 25. Now see here there was 25, 25 has come again. So it is going to be a recurring type. 0.252525 is going to come again and again. So here we write a final answer this way. It's important to write the final answer. 22 upon 99 is equal to 0.25, and we know that this 25 is recurring. So whenever there is group of number that is recurring, you give a line on its top. When there is just one number that is recurring, you give a dot. But when there is group of number that is recurring, you give a line on its top, and you can put the entire answer in a bracket like this. That gives good impression. Then we move to the next sum now. Third sum, 23 upon 7. Okay, you can actually divide it like this, 7, and divide 23 by this 7 and see what answer do you get. Okay, I have already solved this, and this entire group of numbers is recurring 285714. So you should put a line on its top and put that in the bracket. Okay, then the fourth one, 4 upon 5. Now you know there is 5. This 5 can be converted to 10 very easily. 5 twos are 10. Okay, so that makes 4 upon 5 is there, and this 5 can be easily converted to 10. 5 twos are 10, and that will be easier to get the answer quickly. Okay, but you can actually divide also 4 by 5 and get the answer. Whichever way you find easy, you can do it. So that would be 4 twos are 8 and 5 twos are 10. So answer is 0.8. Decimal point shifted by one place there. 0.8. Fifth one, 17 divided by 8. This also I have shown here. The answer is 2.125 and it is terminating. It stops there. Okay. Now, write the following rational numbers in P by Q form. 0.6 dot. Now, this is something you have to understand the steps. Once you understand the steps, then you will never go wrong. And if you understand first sum, you will do all the 5 sums by your on your own. Okay. Now this is given. Now earlier sums, it was given in P by Q form and we converted it to decimal form. Now it is given in decimal form. You are asked to convert it to fractional form or P by Q form. So the first sum is 0.6 dot. So the first step is whatever is given, you assume that to be equals to, let that number is equal to 0.6 dot. Now this dot means 6 is recurring. Dot means 6 is recurring. 0.666 goes on. Okay. Give this statement number 1. Give this statement number 1. Alright. Now, after decimal point, there is just one number. After decimal point, there is just one number. Then your next step should be, if there is one number after decimal point, multiplying both sides of the equation by, now this is, I will write as x is equal to, for your understanding I am just writing, this step is not needed. When I have shown later, I have not added this step. It's the same thing, x is equal to that. Shift the decimal point by one place. We are multiplying both sides by 10 because after decimal point there is just one number, 6. If there were two numbers, then you will multiply by 100. If there were 3 numbers, then you will multiply by 1000. Okay. Now when we multiply by 10, you will get 10x here is equal to, when we multiply, the decimal point shifts to the right. When we divide, the decimal point shifts to the left. When we divide, the number becomes smaller. When we multiply, the number becomes bigger, like that. So that will become 6.666 and goes on. So that means it will become 10x is equal to 6.6 dot. That 6666 is recurring. This is number 2. Now look at statement number 1 and statement number 2. I'll repeat once again what I did. I have just assumed my question to be equals to x. Then I told you after decimal point how many numbers are there. Just check. There was just one number. So we say multiplying both sides by 10. Now I am multiplying here by 10. I get 10x. And multiplying here by 10, I get 6.666. That is 6.6 dot. Now subtracting statement number 1 from 2 we do. So subtracting statement number 1 from 2, I get 10x minus x. See, this 10x and minus x. Subtracting 1 from 2. And here I have 6.6 dot minus 0.6 dot. 10x minus x is 9x is equal to this 6 dot, 6 dot will go, that will remain 6, and x is equal to 6 upon 9, which we can further divide by 3. 3 2s are 6 and 3 3s are 9. So it was in decimal form which we converted to fractional form, that is p by q form. I hope it was clear, and even if it is not clear to you, we will go over this sum once again, because this is slightly new to you. You have not done this ever before, but once sum you understand, just fix the steps in your mind. There are just 3 things that you have to know initially, and if you can do those 3 things perfectly, there are no chances that you will go wrong in this sum. First step is just to assume it to be x, then multiply and then subtract. That's it. Assume x, multiply, then subtract. Let x is equal to 0.6 dot, so that is 0.66666 is recurring. Assume that to be equals to x. Then multiplying both sides by 10, we get 10x is equal to 6.6666. Then subtracting 1 from 2, we get 10x minus x is equal to 6.6 dot minus 0.6 dot. I have just shown the rough work at the side there. 6 dots will get cancelled. What will remain is just 6. Therefore 9x is equal to 6, and therefore x is equal to 6 upon 9. 6 upon 9 is 2 upon 3. Now x is 0.6 dot, right? So that's 2 upon 3. This is what is my final answer. If you want, you can just put it in the box like that. It looks nice that way. Okay, so this was given in decimal form, which we have converted to fractional form. Now next sum I come to 0.3 bar. Okay, now here there are 2 numbers after the decimal point. 2 numbers after decimal point. So as I told you in the earlier sum, if there are 2 numbers after decimal point, then you have to multiply by 100. Okay, so the first step would be assume it to be equals to x. So I'll assume it, let x is equal to 0.37 bar. Then multiplying both sides by, this is number 1. Statement number 2 would be multiplying both sides by 100. 100x is equal to, see the decimal, I have multiplying both sides. Here I have multiplied by 100, so this x became 100x. And here I have multiplied by 100, so decimal point shifted 2 places that side, 2 places. So that became 37.37. Okay, 37th recurring. So that's 100x is equal to 37.3737. So 37.37 bar. Okay, now the next step would be subtracting statement number 1 from 2. So that's going to be 100x minus x, which is 37.37 bar minus 0.37 bar. So rough work I have shown other side, 37.37 bar minus 0.37 bar. So 37 and 37 is getting cancelled, 37. So therefore 99x is equal to 37, and therefore x is equal to 37 upon 99. Okay, so this is going to be your final answer. And now this x is what? X is 0.37 bar. Okay, this x is what we have assumed, 0.37 bar, and that's equals to 37 upon 99. So it was given in decimal form, we have converted it to the fractional form. You can write it and put it in the box like this later. Okay, so therefore 0.37 bar is equal to 37 upon 99, and put it in the box. Third sum, 3.17 bar. So first step is to assume it to be equals to x. Okay, 17 bar is there. That means 3.171717 is recurring. Now since after decimal point there are two places, we will multiply both sides of this equation. Okay, multiplying both sides of this equation by 100, since there are two places after decimal point. So we will get 100x is equal to, decimal point will shift two places this side because we are multiplying by 100, right? Decimal point will shift two places this side, so that will become 317.171717. So 317.17 bar. Okay, because that 17 is recurring. Okay, so we got our statement number 1, we got our statement number 2, subtracting statement number 1 from 2. So I will get 100x minus x is equal to 317.17 bar minus 3.17 bar, bar. Okay, so 100x minus x is 99x. I've shown the subtraction here of 17 gets cut, and that will be 314, and 100x minus x is 99x is equal to 314. So therefore x is equal to 314 upon 99, and therefore in place of x we substitute 3.17 bar is equal to 314 upon 99. This is the final answer, and you can put this in the box like this. Okay, the steps are same everywhere, students, if you remember. Okay, steps are same. First step, to assume it to be equals to x, whatever the question is. Then check how many numbers are there after decimal points. Two numbers, multiply by 100. Okay, see what you get after multiplying by 100. And the third step is to subtract 1 from 2. Okay, that's it. Next sum, fourth sum, 15.89 bar. Okay, so this 898989 is recurring. So what do? Multiplying both sides by 100 now, since there are two places after decimal point. So that becomes 100x is equal to, decimal point will be shifted two places here, so that is 1589.898989 after multiplying by 100. Okay, so that would be, now subtracting equation number 1 from 2, we get 100x minus x is equal to 1589.89 bar minus 15.89 bar. Okay, so that's 99x is equal to 1574. Therefore x is equal to 1574 upon 99. Okay, here only I have not shown the final answer there. As I have told you earlier, in every step you are supposed to show the final answer. X is what? X is 15.89 bar is equal to 1574 upon 99. Okay, and just put that in the box. And the last sum now, 2.514 bar. Here you would say there are three numbers after the decimal point. So that means we are going to multiply both sides by 1000. Okay, and when you multiply by 1000, you can see that the decimal point will be shifted three places here after 4. Okay, three places. So we will get 1000x is equal to 2514.514514 is recurring, so that is 514 bar. Okay, now as usual, subtracting statement number 1 from 2, we will get 1000x minus x is equal to, now subtract, and we get 2512, and x will be equals to 2512. Okay, and x is what? 2.514 bar is equal to 2512 upon 999. You can put this in the box. Okay, so I hope the lesson on a real number was clear to you, students. Thank you so much.